We're live.
We'll let it elapse for 1 minute.
Teresa, that's just because you're always a step ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regular board meeting of the Franklin County Board of County Commissioners. It is Wednesday, July 1st, 2026, and I would invite you all to rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There is 3 county commissioners here today. I've been asked to chair this meeting as Commissioner Mullen could not be in here in person. He is here on the phone. And with that, next on our agenda is adoption of the current agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the current agenda as printed.
Second.
Move to adopt the current agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you for that. Next is public comment. Anybody in the room for public comment, please come forward to the podium, and you would have 3 minutes to provide public comment.
Good morning, Commissioners. Marcy Torres from Franklin County. And I have been coming into this room to let you guys know what's happening in our family courts. And today I wanted to share with you, Amber Rodriguez had asked for a protection order prior to her being murdered by her ex. And Judge Bronson Brown denied that order. As I've stated before, there has been a lot of other cases where Mr. Bronson Brown has denied protection to those who are in danger. And it's a pattern, and it cannot be dismissed any longer. Amber Rodriguez protection order, there was 2 boys, one 8 and the other one 5, her sons. And she put on her protection order, Elias Weezer is being charged with rape, 2, of a 16-year-old girl. Elias Gieser has been diagnosed with PTSD, major depressive disorder, insomnia, alcohol use disorder, and an unspecified personality disorder. I believe he would try to cause harm to my children and I. Significant concerns for my children's safety due to their father's recent charges of rape of a minor. On February 6, 2024, I read in the news that Elias Gieser raped an unconscious 16-year-old girl in his home. The 16-year-old girl is his 17-year-old girlfriend. Elias' girlfriend caught Mr. Gieser assaulting her friend and confronted him. He walked off as if nothing happened, and Mr. Gieser's girlfriend and her friend drove off in his truck and found a Benton County officer. Mr. Gieser had followed his girlfriend and her friend in another vehicle until he saw them approach a police officer. And she attached the article where he was being charged. And Mr. Bronson Brown wrote, he dismissed the petition, didn't grant the protection order. And he asked her to, in order to change the parenting plan, to go back to family court and do it in that way. And then said the only evidence she provided was news report, a news report where he was being charged for rape of a child, of a 16-year-old girl, and he dismissed it. She hired Mason Pickett shortly after, not even a week later, goes and hires him, comes back, finally is granted the protection order after she paid $10,000 to retain him. The protection order is granted, and then she's murdered a month later. Thank you.
Anybody further for public comment?
Michelle Andrews, Franklin County. I'm going to read the very introduction of the 14th Amendment on the birther. The Supreme Court has in the past and has once again got it wrong. Mr. Howard, the First Amendment to Section 1 declaring that this is when it's brought in, all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the states wherein they reside. I do not propose to say anything on the subject except that the question of citizenship has been so fully discussed in this body as not need any further elucidation, in my opinion. This amendment I have offered is simply declaratory of what I regard as the law of the land already, that every person born within the limits of the United States and subject to their jurisdiction is by virtue of natural law and national law a citizen of the United States. This will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, aliens who belong to the families of ambassadors or foreign ministers accredited to the government of the United States, but will include every other class of persons. It settles the great question of citizenship and removes all doubt as to what persons are or are not citizens of the United States. This has long been a great desideratum in the jurisprudence and the legislation of this country. We are under invasion of people not born here. And we have a government in this state that has levied war against us, and that is treason. It is up to those who are legislators to come together and oppose these actions. I'm going to do it. I'm going to expect others to do it too. And if not, then we're going to start talking about bonds. Because this is wrong. They don't have to go to the Congress and do this again. Hoover and Eisenhower deported millions of people, families and all, who squatted in our country. I very much feel for the DACA folks, but they had specific examples and things they had to follow to become citizens. They were given grace, which is what this nation is known for. Did they follow it? If not, that is on them. It breaks my heart. My daughter's Hispanic. I have 10 people next door to me that are like extended family. I sponsor them at St. Pat's and all of their school activities. I counsel them going to school. I love them. We visit with them across our fence line. There really isn't one. This was an act of missional compassion by an interpretation. And I will remind you that the Constitution is contract. If I buy a house or land or a car, there are terms to that contract, and they're either taken or they're not. And that's what this is. It's a contract with the people and the government. And the people have more than 2 minutes of public comment or cast a ballot in a turned around system to state who to object to the things that this government does. That's the lever of we the people.
Thank you. Is there anybody further for public comment?
Good morning, Commissioners. I am Kat Espinda with the two-tiered takedown. Got a new outfit on here. It's the Do Nothing Radio. There's an invasion that has taken place in our country, and it goes very, very deep. In 1939, they actually changed the tuning of our instruments from 432 hertz to 440 hertz. 4 plus 3 plus 2 equals 9. It's the God number. 440, they changed it. 4 plus 4 is the infinity number, and it also can alter brain waves for suggestion. So what comes over our television, the TV or the radio, is all coming through at 440 hertz. And they put out sex and drugs and gang music and rap and all this music to program us. Ever since music started, the people up there, the controllers of the world, they made this happen. So now, after generation, it's gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So now, what we are doing, we the people, we're taking the tools of the deep state cabal, and we're going to use it against them with music. We're going to deprogram the mind and the thinking of people. They're all stewing around in sorrow, grief, hate, loathing, division. God created a world where we are to be united, but we have people at the top. We've got judges, crooks, criminals committing treason against our children. So we're going to take this music and we're going to deprogram and we're going to reprogram. Everything is a program. Everything. Religions are programs, sports, hospitals, everything that we've been taught, it's all been by design to dumb us down and to just get us stewing and worrying about ourselves, going outside of ourselves. And now we have all these children that feel like they're being bullied, they're harassed, they don't know if they're a boy or a girl. This is a part of the system. It's a plan. So Do Nothing Radio, we're taking the truth, and truth vibrates at a very high frequency, higher than love. So it's scientific. When somebody has the feelings of love, you can pick that up. And same with the music. So we're going to take the music. We're going out to the park. We were out at the park this weekend, giving free cotton candy, blasting out this music. And would you be surprised that a lot of people already know how corrupt it is here? We talk to so many people, and they're like, I've been hearing that. So our message is getting out. But the thing is, we still have judges and commissioners trafficking our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody further for public comment?
Commissioners, Marie Redout, Tri-City resident and concerned citizen. I've been here many times and I've presented information to you. And some is my opinion. I'd like to just correct one opinion. When I was here previously and I spoke about Commissioner Alvarez with Benton County, and I mentioned that he'd gone to the judges and had conversations, and that he was talking about limiting our time as citizens to be able to speak like we do here for public comment. What I was wrong about was that he had spoken to the judges about that information, that he was going to limit time. So I would just correct that I did apologize to him, because he did reach out and ask that I call him, and wanted to explain that no, he hadn't talked to the judges about that. So I want to correct that component of it. The rest of the comments are still on record and they're there. We do appreciate that you are having the public comments. They are a very critical part of any part of government, so that you can hear from the people, we the people, and the citizens and the communities that are so deeply impacted by the injustices that have been happening that we're bringing to your attention. But just bringing them to your attention is not enough. I do have some handouts I'd like to get to you, gentlemen. It's called the Due Process Project. It is a 501c3, and we are doing stuff about the things that are being brought to our attention. Anybody can go on the website, the Due Process Project, put in their case numbers, and they can actually review the information that would be helpful to them on what's happening to them. It's all documented as to the injustices and how it's happening and why it's happening, but then it's also pointing to solutions. So there's going to be legislation that's coming forward through the Due Process Project that we're going to be working towards with our legal processes. These are the things that you've wanted us to do, is to go through the legal processes. You direct us to the different programs, but those, as we've pointed out to you, are ineffective. meaning the Commission on Judicial Conduct and the Washington State Bar Association that has a 95% dismissal. So everybody that's in a room of 100, 95 of them will not be heard. So they're ineffective. And that makes them irrelevant to change. They're not working towards that. And we'd like to see more of that happening. We're still going to continue to submit the complaints and the grievances through those legal processes. We've done it all along. We're doing volumes of it. You know, we'll work through several people that are getting their case reports documented through those processes for the complaints that are still happening. Every day there's family court. Every day. So go on look, if you wish, please, the Due Process Project that we're starting here, but it's not, it's just something that I think is going to be interesting for everybody to know how it's happening.
Thank you. Is there anybody further for public comment?
Aaron Derrick, Benton County, and start by saying I appreciate commissioners giving us this time and your attention to these matters. You know, if the last 15, 16, 17 weeks have indicated anything, it's we have a big problem with our family courts. And, you know, I don't like to come up here and repeat myself, but, you know, a couple weeks ago, I threw out an invite to these judges because some pretty heinous accusations being made with what's going on with these bad actors in robes. And we even had Marie come up here just now and correct the record on something erroneous that was stated. It's that simple. So again, where are these judges and where are their explanations? What we're not going to do is we're not going to hide behind the Lie City Herald or Lavos. I want to see them come in here and explain themselves, because the things they're being accused of, these bad actors in robes, the trafficking of children, monetizing, tearing families apart, that is evil. And if I was being accused of that, I would want to correct the record immediately. I wouldn't be hiding behind someone. I wouldn't be hiring someone in the media to run a crap piece on me. Unless I was actually guilty of it, in which case I would do exactly what these judges are doing, and I would just stay hiding. But that's only going to work for so long. Sooner or later, you're going to answer for what you've done. And that's not a threat. We are peaceful. We're not crazy. We're not criminals. We're not going to show up at your doorstep. We're not going to get kinetic. But the time will come where there's a camera in your face and you're going to have to explain yourself. That time is coming. If I were you, I would want to get ahead of it, get on this microphone, and explain yourself. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anybody further for public comment?
Good morning, gentlemen. Andy Revis, Franklin County. On the family court thing, I extended an invitation a few weeks ago. I've been trying to call in the last couple of weeks. I've been traveling and couldn't get into the call in because I had some things to talk about. But I'm here today. But I extended the invitation. I would invite any of you to come just sit and watch these young mothers get the children ripped from their arms in a 10-minute hearing from a judge that has nothing. Last week. Before I left, I talked to the Benton County Commissioners, and I asked them, I said, I told them, I said, which one of your children or grandchildren are you willing to sacrifice because you don't really care? That's what we, the people, do every day. I spent 6 years going to family court and watching mothers and fathers lose their children. And I lost 2 of my children. And there was people in this community that said that I should never have see my children again. I asked Brad to his face, which one of your children or grandchildren would you like to never see again? You told them I should never see them. Which one are you willing to give up? This is personal to somebody. Maybe not you right now, but it is personal to somebody. And I was shared an article a few weeks ago that the state has had to pay $500 million in lawsuits for DCYF mistakes. And you gentlemen can understand a little bit of that. You've had to settle lawsuits for what had went on in the county jail. It wasn't your problem, but you had to deal with it. This is taxpayer money. This is your money. This is my money that is paying for DCYF's mistakes. So that kind of brings up a question I had. I know you guys can't answer necessarily right now. Clint mentioned a few weeks ago on the budget the percentages of the correction staff versus the sheriff's department, what percentages of the budget that has been used. My question is, is there a place that we can see the budget numbers? My question is, the corrections and sheriff, that combined budget, is it exponentially more than it was when it was combined, that those percentages make it irrelevant? If it's very similar and the corrections officer is only running 80% and the sheriff's running 110, we're still under budget overall. So I was just curious if there's a place we can look at that. And also with that, is there a way we can see if there is a department that is habitually exceeding the budget? I've heard that there's
Thank you.
departments
There will be
that
another public comment.
Okay.
Anybody further for public comment today? Is there anybody on the phone? No. Thank you. We'll move on from public comment. So I would seek approval for the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the approval of the consent agenda items 1 through 11.
Second.
There's a motion and a second for consent agenda items 1 through 11 as presented. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, with that, next on our agenda, we're going to regular business. Item number A is Resolution 2026-217, District Court Approval of Starting Salary for a Therapeutic Court Case Manager with a Veterans Emphasis. And our chairman that's on the phone today has asked that some in our auditor's office come and give us some information. So Rosa and Tim, if you guys would come and I'm assuming that you know those questions. I'm not familiar with them, but
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. I have some general information. I don't know if there are some general questions asked, so I have some general information that I can provide.
okay. Let me, Commissioner Mullen, are you able to provide some of the questions or give some insight into what you had in mind?
Not so much questions, just an overview of the mental health tax funds and its account.
I have some discussion points and if I go over these and there's more questions, feel free to ask, and then I'll do my best to answer what I can. So as of right now, so I don't think that there's a huge issue in the mental health fund right now as far as how much we're spending or anything like that. Right now we have $8.3 million still in the mental health fund, and that's after paying $5.5 million in total for the Columbia Valley Center for Recovery. There was $2.7 million paid this year. And so, we have still a fair fairly lot of money. As far as budget, this year we've got budgeted $3.9 million in revenues. There's $460,000 budgeted for property tax, and then $3.4 million for the sales tax. And then we only have budgeted $832,000 in expenditures. There was that payment to the Columbia Valley Center for Recovery, but recurring expenditures, we have budgeted $832,000. Yes, there has been some more requests coming in, but ultimately, when you're comparing how much we're bringing in to how much we're spending, we're bringing in considerably more than what we're spending, at least on these recurring things that we're talking about. So I don't think that there's a huge issue even as far as the requests coming in right now. It's more, part of my questions, and I had sent out an email recently just because these are restricted funds that are subject to audit. And so I just wanted to make sure that we cover our bases as far as that the people, that the departments accessing these funds are keeping adequate to support to say that this was actually mental health related, that the time being charged to it was actually spent on it, and that we can, that the auditors would come and there's adequate records to back up the usage of these funds, because these are restricted funds that if it was found that it was used inappropriately, we probably need to put that money back into the fund. And so, my whole point was just wanting to make sure that as we're using this funds, that because there's multiple departments that have started using it: the prosecutor's office, therapeutic courts, OPD. I may be forgetting someone, but corrections. Thank you. So there's been multiple departments using it, and so just wanting to make sure that whoever's using it, keeping records that validate the expenditures, that it is mental health related. So time records and stuff like that, to be able to say that it was appropriate. And so, and also, I mean, the other thing that I was just thinking too is ultimately what is the board's long-term goals with this money? We did this big project with the Columbia Valley Center for Recovery, but also just, we can just use it all for this kind of stuff where it's just salary related and stuff. But if there's some longer-term goals where, the board wants to put in a building of our own, or, I don't know what that would be, but just keeping in mind that if we're wanting to build up money, then anytime that we're nickel and diming with all of this other stuff, that we accumulate it as fast as we can accumulate it as fast as we want to, by not doing some of this other stuff, just having it funded by current expense. But that does put a strain on current expense as well. The other thing that I had said recently too was just in regards to seems like there's a lot of cross between using these funds and then grant funds that we're getting in. The grant funds are covering similar kind of things, and I just want to make sure that if we have used mental health funds, if we've transferred over money for mental health, and then ultimately we recover some of that money from grant funds, that to pay it back to the mental health fund, because that's where it originated from. And so I just want to make sure that happens too. And I don't know that us in our office would always know that, that these specific things that we received back from a grant were ultimately originated from the mental health fund. And so just wanting to make sure that it doesn't, if we did get grant funds, that it doesn't just go to current expense, that it goes back to the original source.
The grant funds backfill and repay the funds that were taken from the mental health fund.
Yes. And I don't know if there's any cross at all. I mean, I know they're covering similar things, but it could be, completely different stuff that the grant funds are covering these, and the mental funds are a backfill covering this other stuff. And so there may never be any cross to where this is even a concern, but it's just something that I thought of that if that is happening, we want to make sure that it gets back to the mental health fund.
Commissioner Mullen or Didier, do you have any comments?
Yeah, Tim, I just want to say, prior to working at Franklin County, you worked for the state auditor's office, correct?
Yes.
So how much of a problem could we be creating for ourselves trying to keep track of all these funds? Is this going to be a pretty big ordeal to make sure things are paid back and the whole, and once you get into this where you're borrowing money from here and then you get a grant fund and then you got to pay it back here, somebody's got to keep track of all that. And that's not your duty, correct? That's not the,
No, I think it would have to be on the department level. I mean, ultimately, the departments are the ones that are, I think it would be difficult at the auditor's office level to be able to, at our level, to be able to even be able to say that this is mental health related. You know, the departments themselves know what stuff is mental health related and what isn't. And so, I mean, I think it's just making sure that that they have the time records to support the usage of that money, or whatever other support, that supplies that were bought were strictly for therapeutic courts or were for the mental health, stuff like that. And so as far as what we can get into, I mean, the state auditor's office is just a reporting agency.
Exactly.
And so, you know, you might get a finding for it or whatever, and they'll make recommendations or whatever. But ultimately, you know, and they'll recommend putting, you know, they'd probably recommend putting back in, but ultimately, beyond that, I mean, they're not going to do, the state auditor's office isn't going to do anything more than
would
that.
it go, if it was a big enough problem, would it go to the state attorney general's office? I mean, what's the fine or the penalty for any county out of compliance on this? I mean, who's the, Mr. Danzel, do you know?
If we're out of compliance on misuse, it would be from the state auditor's office, and usually it'd be in the form of a management letter or a finding.
Okay, and then after that, is there any repercussions for the county? I mean, what is the ultimate?
Yeah, like if there's a finding, it might include what Mr. Anderson said in repaying the monies back. I will say on this specific, on the Judge Orozco's request, this is one of the biggest slam dunks. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but this one is one that fits the description to a T of mental. This one wouldn't have a problem standing the test there. We could document, and Judge Orozco does an excellent job of documenting, frankly, and that's why we get so many of these grants.
Yeah, I wasn't just talking about this one situation because, as Tim has mentioned, we got a lot of different departments wanting to pull money out of here.
Yeah, and I think that's, I don't want to speak for Commissioner Mullen, but I think that's why Commissioner Mullen just wanted an overview here to talk about that, to discuss it so that everybody had a better understanding of the mental health sales tax. And then, of course, the Tim had mentioned the $5.5 million investment into the Center for Recovery. And then, you know, there's other folks that have asked and pretty hard for us to get into a contract with Comprehensive, so some of those funds could be used for that.
Yeah.
So there's decisions to make, but what I'm hearing Tim say is that we're not at the point of no return, we're not spending more than we're taking in, and that this would be, that this would fit the need of a mental health sales tax. So I think we'd be okay in this one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mullen, did you have any thoughts or comments to add there?
No real questions. It's just, as someone that initially voted to create the mental health sales tax, it's my understanding all those funds would go to the recovery center. But it sounds like an accounting nightmare to me, but that's my comment.
Thank you. Any further comments? Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Not unless you have specific questions.
Okay. I agree with your summary of this is exactly what this is meant for, is these funds within the RCW that governs their use I have no further comments, really. Judge, did you have anything, or Doctor, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Well, I guess as Tim said, as the calculation of the time that we spend, I have all of that prepared. So I know it's not just our department, it's other departments, OPD, prosecutor's office. I don't know who else is pulling from that. Anytime that we were able to reimburse different departments for their time, we did indicate on the invoice that it was a reimbursement of time. I'm not certain how that goes to the auditor's office. I'm not the best numbers as far as figuring that stuff out. That's where we rely on him. But I do try to make sure that it's clear, and we do make sure that all of our time that we spent is well documented so that we don't have any issues in the future.
Thank
So,
you.
Mr. Chairman, I do notice that we have option A and option B on this resolution. Now, as far as the options, I'm in favor of option A, whereas, and this is the paragraph that is in there, whereas the mental health sales tax shall be used only as a supplemental funding to cover the difference between the state funding award and the approved employment costs of the position, and shall not be used as the sole funding source to sustain the position if the state funding award is not renewed or otherwise becomes unavailable. If no other alternative funding source is identified and approved by the board, the position shall be terminated. And that's what we had stated from the beginning, that we would agree to this position if the state funding source is there. If it's not, we were going to terminate it. And that's the option A is the one I'd like to go with.
So, yeah, a question on that. We talked about last week, the split. Could you speak to that?
Well, I think the person to ask, I believe, and again, I really don't like speaking for people, but I believe Judge Orozco, again, and I don't want to speak for you, but I don't know that there'd be interest in the judge bringing this person on because they wanted to be able to guarantee more than a year's work. Am I getting that right?
Right, so we don't want to offer somebody a position, have them leave their current position, which is a good position, for it to simply have to terminate them in a year. I don't think that would be fair to anybody, especially fair to the participants, the veterans and other individuals we have in the program. Because if we have to terminate that position, then all of those people aren't going to be receiving the services that they would have been receiving with another case manager. We would take that entire caseload and shove it onto one case manager and say, I hope you figure it out, which is really going to reduce the services that anybody receives. I'd like to say, I don't know what the amount that we're going to receive the next year. This year we receive more, $338,500. And it's just kind of how we tailor that. We can move things around, so we can take 10% of each line item that they assign the monies to and add it to salaries and benefits, but that's still not going to get us where we need to go. And it's not going to then pay for some of the extra things we have that we're paying for, paper, all of the basic things that you would need in an office to run. But ultimately this is, and what we're hoping is we continue to fight for those funds through the state, and then whatever we're not able to receive, we use the mental health sales tax to supplement it. So I think the option one, I understand that if we could just cross it off with and they will be terminated, understanding that we could come and use those as a secondary option, not to pay for it entirely, but to help so that we're not losing a position or firing somebody.
Mr. Commissioner?
Well, if they terminate the state funds, then it would be paying for the position entirely.
Well, terminate meaning we're going to receive funding. It's just a matter of how much we receive each year.
I just don't want it, as Tim stated, I don't want to keep doing this over and over, and pretty soon the mental health tax is basically all taken up, and it's not going to the recovery center or whatever we're putting together there as far as who's going to manage that. Because when they finally figure out who's going to manage that, we don't have enough money in this mental health savings account to even pay for it now. If they were to hire, what's the name of the company they want to hire? Comprehensive. Comprehensive, their cost is going to be more than we can afford. We don't have that much money in our account. So I'm just saying, if we're going to have the recovery center and Comprehensive running it, or whoever, there's not enough money in there now. And if we're depleting the fund, we're just going to make it worse.
Isn't comprehensive requesting 100, 200? The last number I had heard was 400, now it's 200. I mean, I understand that's a
They're
lot
all
of
over the
money.
board. We don't know. Nothing's been ironed out. We don't know. That's the whole problem. We have no idea what it's gonna cost.
And just on a side note, don't we think one of the problems is also that we've been accumulating all of these funds and haven't been using them, what the community wanted us to do? This is within the need, this is within the statute that permits it. If we're going to assume a voter is educated and has read what they were voting for, then they also voted for therapeutic courts, veteran courts, all of these other things to help. It's the wraparound services doesn't just mean one building. It means wraparound, meaning you're in the courtroom, you go there, you work with them, you work with housing. It's wraparound. It's not go get solved, go get fixed at this one place. That's not going to happen.
My whole point is, we don't know where we're at with that comprehensive or whoever's gonna manage it. And so we're allocating funds out of a fund that we're gonna have to use for that, or we gotta go out of we gotta raise taxes on our citizens. Because we're gonna be on the hook to pay for this for this recovery center, for the management of it.
So is there a middle ground where that if we were to strike, the position shall be terminated? What if we were to strike that and say, it shall come before the board for discussion and determination at that time? Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I would.
Would that, shall be reevaluated? Is that acceptable?
Yes.
I would be, yes, I'd be comfortable with that, just so that we can.
So it appears that we have an idea for middle ground on option A. So we'll strike the last 5 words, and instead of saying the position shall be terminated, it will say that the position shall be brought back before the board for evaluation and determination at such time as those state funds are not available.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
I'm acceptable, yeah, that is acceptable, yes.
Commissioner Mullen, do you have any comments or thoughts on that?
That's acceptable. I mean, that's agreeable to me as well, because that was my idea when I spoke with Brian Danzel, that we put something like that together, that we could readdress it at a later time if the grant funding failed to come through. So yes, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Any further comments from anybody? Does that clear enough language for everybody? Okay. With that, Mr. Commissioner, I would entertain a motion on option A with that amended language.
So, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Resolution 2026-217 with option A and the rewriting of the paragraph, whereas the last line saying the position shall be terminated, to read the position shall be brought before the Board of Commissioners and reevaluated.
So there's a motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further comments from the board? With no further comments, all in favor of Resolution 2026-217 with the amended language signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, Judge and
Yes.
Tim and Rosa and everybody for that. I think we found a acceptable middle ground. And so if you'll get that language amended, we could sign that. So thank you for that. That takes us to item number B under regular business. So item number B is Resolution 2026-227, Public Works Hearing, Adoption of Franklin County's 6-year transportation plan, the TIP plan for 2027 through 2032, and the 25 bridge report. So with that, I will continue the public hearing to consider Resolution 2026-227, adoption of the 6-year transportation improvement plan. And does my fellow commissioners have any questions or comments?
I do not. I had but did we have any more feedback from the public? I don't think
I have not received any. Commissioner Mullen, have you received any further feedback?
No comments?
I have not.
Okay. So we will open the floor for public testimony. Is there any members of the public who wish to speak to this matter, or is there anybody on the phone who would like to make a comment? Sir, you have 3 minutes.
So, Andy Revis, again, I tried calling in last week to talk about this. The turnout thing, I think, I really appreciate you guys looking into the turnouts. I heard what Clint was saying yesterday about the train of pea harvesters. And last Tuesday, excuse me, on the way south on Glade, I got behind a whole train of potato equipment, and those again are long, the conveyor belts, and they do 4 or 5, 6 of them in a line with the pilots, and you know they're not going as slow as a pea harvester, but they're still going slow. And Clint, what you said about looking like a NASCAR, it was the same thing, but behind that potato equipment, and I follow in the backup to that too is ordinances, because I've followed a tractor down Glade with 10 people behind them, and they just keep going right on past the turnout at their past Alder. So, you know, spending millions of dollars putting a turnout in isn't going to do any good. Yes, we live in a farming community, but it's going to take 2 extra minutes to pull off, let 10 cars past you, and if it saves a life, you know, I'm a first responder, I'm an EMT, a firefighter, and I don't want to be the one that's peeling somebody out of a vehicle to, you know, that hit the back end of or hit a head on because they were trying to pass where they shouldn't. And I've seen many people passing on double yellow lines trying to get around this farm equipment. And so I think, you know, I appreciate you looking into these turnouts, and I think that's, we really need it for the public safety. And there again, it goes back to my previous comment. Which of your children or grandchildren are you willing to have die on our public roads? Because, you know, and I know you guys are trying. I'm not speaking to you specifically, but anybody. So I think the turnouts is a huge thing that we need to really be thinking about looking into on this transportation thing.
Thank you. Is there anybody further for comment on this item?
As one that joined you all at the USDA, that amazing conference of how much information is available through USDA, there is a contact for a federal help on this. Her name is Amanda. I think you have her card. If you don't, I will get it to you. That I think would provide assistance in this regard. And I would ask, and please make it available for us to get that help to get those turnouts. As you know, we have a dear friend who lost his son, and he serves this day in the city council, Joe Cotta. Joe Cotta's son served at the church where I taught Sunday school, and his son played with the son of one of my assistants. We were a very close-knit community, and it was heart-wrenching because of the beauty of that family, but they actually made a lot out of it, and God did some amazing things with the man that was in that accident with his son. He turned his life to Christ. But we need to be responsible, preventative, and if there are any funds or any help from the federal level through the USDA for this very thing, I want Franklin County to have that as an option to get more funding and get this done. I fully support. Thank you.
Anybody further for public comment on this? With that, we'll close the public testimony period of this. Our clerk just responded that there has been no comments received. Any other thoughts on it?
No.
I have a thought on it. As I look at the priority list on there, if you go down, it shows that these turnouts are proposed in 2030, and I would like that to be moved up in the priority list to put it in item number 8 instead of at item number 12. And I recognize that that's just a kind of a proposed piece, but I believe that it's the sentiment of this board to make it a priority. And so I would like to, if you look at item number 12 on there, is the one I'm speaking of, I'd like that to move into position number 8 instead of number 12 on the priority list. And further than that, I would like to, as quickly as possible, have a standard proposed so that we can get to the point where that we're able to, if somebody wishes to do it without county funds, that we have a way to say, yes, you can, and here's what we would like it to look like. So that would just be my comment on what that would look like.
I actually like that. I think we should, I know, Craig, you've stated that this is something new, that it really hasn't been done. Well, I want Franklin County to lead the way to farming communities of how making the roads safer, and you'd be a great guy to lead that charge.
I'm all for it. I just want to make sure it's safe. I apologize. I don't have much of a voice.
That's all right.
Anything else you'd like to add to this item?
No, sir. I hope that the board finds the STIP acceptable.
And you're good with moving it up to number 8?
Yes, that
Excellent.
is fine.
Okay.
Commissioner Mullen, any comments?
I'm in agreement with that. I think that's a great idea. And I just want to kind of comment as well as on the comment that was put before. If people aren't using the turnouts, then we should encourage our sheriff's department to enforce that law. I know that whenever I've had to take a vehicle or a slow-moving item down the highway, I try to be as thoughtful as possible and pull off at any reasonable location to let people pass, because I understand their frustration, but I also understand that we are a farming community and we need to move that equipment. But we also have to be conscientious enough to know that if we're slowing traffic, we need to use the turnouts. So, yes, I'm in agreement. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. With that, I would entertain a motion on Resolution 2026-227.
Mr. Chairman, I move to close the public testimony portion of the hearing. We did close it already. Oh, okay, excuse me. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution 2026-227.
Second.
As amended to move the pullouts to number 8. Could you second that again?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Yes, I'll second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second for Resolution 2026-227 as amended. Any further comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, sir. Your tip is approved. Thank you, sir. Little hang time there.
Trinity.
Okay, with that, brings us to Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Danzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we were just talking about it, and I'll get into this a little bit more in correspondence, but Mr. Erdman did provide a standards and considerations for standards for slow vehicle pullouts. And so that is included in your correspondence. And then also, Director Erdman and I talked about what you just talked about, is potentially looking at like a slow traffic ordinance and being able to have that on the books and asking for enforcement. I spoke with our lobbyist, Joe DePinto. Commissioner Bauman, I believe you and I are scheduled on the 9th of July to meet with Mr. DePinto to start an agenda for what we're looking for in the next legislative session. I met with commissioners to review the agenda, held a productive meeting with Larry Leisure from HWL to discuss ongoing coordination. Met very briefly with Wes McCart to address the comprehensive plan. Very proud of where we're at in that. By the way, we're moving along at a very nice pace. Thank you, Director McCart. Held routine meetings with internal staff to review the daily management and ensure departmental alignment across the board. I saw that Brittany was here earlier. Spoke briefly with Ms. Roski. Everything seems to be running smoothly and efficiently at juvenile justice. Additionally, I met with Edgar Vega to discuss the ongoing human services transition. The process has come along very nicely and remains on track thanks to the diligence of everyone that's involved. And finally, I wanted to extend a special note of public recognition to our incredible facilities crew for the decor and the 250th birthday of America. Their hard work has brought a wonderful sense of community pride and celebration to our historic county building. And I can say this, I've actually been to every single courthouse in the state, and this one is by far the most beautiful. It really, truly is. And with the decorations, I think it's even more so. That concludes my administrator's update today. We did have quite a bit of correspondence that we'll get to, and I got some late arriving ones as well. So I'll close there, and if there's anything you need from me, just let me know.
Thank you, Commissioner Didier.
Yes, last week consisted of workforce development executive meeting. Met with Mr. Danzel, met with Larry Leisure, with the Hapo Center. I got a call from a veteran, a combat veteran leader, and he has, his name is Jeremy Albers, President, Chapter 3 Combat Veterans International. They are holding an event in Horn Rapids RV Park, 2640 Kings Gateway, Richland, on July 18th from 2 to 8 p.m. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to help veterans get in touch with our VSO, John Penny, the other areas where they can get assistance and help. And I think this is excellent, but we've got to get the word out. So anybody that's out there that's a veteran, give John Penny a call. And I believe, yes, I do have his number. You give John Penny a call for assistance. If you know a veteran, if you know where a veteran is staying and he's homeless, please reach out to him and let's get help to our veterans. That is one of our funds that we have over 3 years amount of money in it, and we are not supposed to have that much in. We're supposed to, and we have quit taking the tax for the last 2 years. We have ceased taxing the citizens on property for this fund because we have over 3 years in there. Also, I did a radio show on 610 for the Veterans Fund and explaining it, where we're at. But we need veterans to participate. We need them to get in there and start using these funds, or we're not going to tax our citizens just to collect money. I drove all the way over to the west side for a good friend of mine, Larry Stickney's funeral. And while I was over there, I got to talk to Amy Kruver, who he was working for, Pierce City Council. They have 7 members on their council. She shared with me a article that was written over there that it was very stunning, because they used $330 million of the COVID money to hand out to illegals. And when it's stated that this is an invasion on public comment, it is. Because they $330 million they handed out to illegals from the COVID funds. That's incredible. And to say we don't have an invasion problem? Yes, we do. We have an invasion problem. And then the Supreme Court just ruled, state Supreme Court, was it the state Supreme Court that just ruled that it was the U.S. Supreme Court that just ruled that we cannot, the SAVE Act, voted it down, correct? The SAVE Act?
No. The 14th Amendment,
Birthright
citizenship.
But then our state Supreme Court just ruled against the King Ranch.
Didn't know that.
That's what I heard. So we have got just craziness going on in our state, and it is it's time for the citizens, we the people, to stand up and take our state back. That's for sure. That's in my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Mullen?
Basically, just meetings with Mr. Danzel. Other than that, concerns about what's happening on the Seattle area with businesses leaving and the vacancies. It's concerning. I mean, there's a lot of people that are moving out of the state of Washington because of the tax issues, and the socialist, democrats, we need to come up with a solution. This can't continue to spread through our state. So, very concerning times. Thank you.
They eventually run out of other people's money.
Margaret Thatcher.
Thank you, Commissioner Mullen. For myself, had been Franklin Transit Executive Board meeting, had a TRIDEC Executive Board meeting, attended the jail graduation. Some people graduated from Phase 1, some from Phase 3. Really appreciate watching that grow, watching that program grow. And Chief, thank you for your support of that program, and look forward to watching it flourish. Went to a Veterans Appreciation event put on by the Columbia Basin Veterans Center. Just appreciate all of the veteran mentors and everybody that works so diligently to make that all those different avenues for veteran service to happen. So thank you to everybody that works so diligently on behalf of the veterans in our community and the veterans themselves that are a part of those programs. Thank you. With that, we go to correspondence. Mr. Danzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have some correspondence today. First, we received a document from Public Works Director Craig Erdman focusing on the design consideration and engineering standards required for the implementation of slow-moving vehicle turnouts. It looks like this. It's a document that's included already in your packet, but if you want to peruse that and take a look, that's fine. Additionally, received formal confirmation from Mr. Chuck Boyd, representing the Washington County's risk pool, that they have acknowledged receipt of our official letter and confirmed that our notification opting to remain with the risk pool has been received. This ensures continuity in our coverage and maintains our ongoing relationship with the pool. We received a letter from Behavioral Health Advisory Board member Angie Manarola. In her letter, she touches on the current board dynamics and also the dynamics with at the Center for Recovery. And I'm just so thankful to Ms. Manarola. Thank you so much for all you do for our community. Also included with that is a short update from Deputy County Administrator for Benton County, Matt Rasmussen, regarding the Columbia Center for Recovery. And I also included, and I knew that you gentlemen would be interested in this, the newsletter from the Columbia Basin Veterans Center for your reading from Mr. Dare. It offers and provides an excellent overview of the vital services and outreach that they are doing. And then some late arriving ones that I've got for you. And these I will pass down. This is a front and back thing that I need direction on for what we're going to do as it pertains to cash flow out at the HAPO Center. So this is, again, I would just need your direction. And then moving on from that, we've got a letter from Chief Civil Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Jeff Briggs. And this pertains to a couple different positions that were already budgeted for and approved, and we had folks move on. Jeff, I didn't know if you wanted to speak to that one at all.
Yes, this is for our district court support staff as well as our prosecutor. We did have Ms. Gomez approve those hires within the last few months. So unfortunately, those positions aren't working out, so we have to rehire in those. So the analysis would be the same.
Okay, and then the next piece of information I have comes from the IS department regarding the mail machine, and so I was going to take that and pass it down. And then, finally, the funnest one of all. I say that tongue-in-cheek because it comes from Director McCart at Planning, Building, and Economic Development, and it's a a rulemaking from the Department of Ecology wanting to add a new rule as it applies to state waters. And so I'm going to pass that down to you gentlemen, but that's always something that's worth being concerned about and also being engaged in. And so again, thank you, Wes, for that. And just wanted you gentlemen to have that before you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
could I please ask, because we haven't had a chance to review this, but Wes has, could I ask Wes to come to the mic so that the citizens out there listening can hear the concerns of this, what they're trying to do here with the water? Wes, could you
Please.
give a brief explanation so the citizens out there can understand where the Department of Ecology is trying to go with this?
Sure, thank you. So what I did was print off the CR 101, which is the rulemaking notification. But essentially what they've done is they have been doing, when you work in the water and you need a permit to work in the water from the Department of Ecology, they've been doing it based on a administrative decision rather than a rule. And normally when you work in the water, you get what's called a joint aquatics. It's called a JARPA, but it's a joint aquatics permit. And you fill out one form and it gets you all the permits you need to all the different agencies through one different shop. In going through the documents here, what they're trying to do is, if you're going to do a project that's going to be in the water, you now would need basically a clean water permit in addition to your hydraulics permit that you get from Fish and Wildlife. This is a little bit troubling to me, mainly because I'm not sure what direction the agency wants to take. And I've seen these actions in the past go way beyond what they need to. But you'll notice in the copy I gave you, I have a question on the bottom. I have signed up for the webinars. You can go on Ecology's site. It's under the Shoreline and Environmental Assistance Program, and you can look it up. It's a new chapter to 173-217 WAC. And one of the questions I have is this going to be included in the JARPA? Because I don't really think it's fair to people to have to go to 15 different places to get permits that they need to streamline it. So it could be a good thing if they limit it. I haven't seen that happen in the state of Washington in a long, long time.
What is their proposed fix with this? This looks like an additional bureaucratic layer to me. What is this fixing?
I don't know yet. Based on what I see in their documents that I printed out for you, how is this different? It's because it's, the permit, they're looking to how do we protect water quality. So to me, it seems rather redundant from another agency. But that's why I signed up for the webinars that are online. The focus sheets have.
Well, please keep a close eye on it and advise us as you come to an understanding of what they're doing.
Sure. Wish I had more information, but there's not much here to answer questions to.
Yeah.
Just concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Wes.
Yep.
And gentlemen, that was the end of correspondence. The recommendation I would make is if you wanted to approve those already budgeted and already went through Rosa's financial analysis, that we add that to the agenda probably after our executive session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. With that, it takes us to public comment. Is anybody in the room further for public comment? If it is, please come to the podium and you would have 3 minutes. Please.
Over here?
Yes, and then please speak into the mic. Just pull it down there so that we can hear you. Pull it down to where that we can hear you speak into it. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So I had the pleasure of attending the Civil Under 10 docket with Commissioner Megan Whitmire today. And, I am a net tax producer. I had to take time off work to attend court, and she ended up striking the case, but in that, because we weren't served properly, it seems that our judges have become like rogue and belligerent in court. At the end, when she struck the case, I asked if I could say something, and she said, "Please don't." What? And then I said, "Can I ask a question?" And this was sometime later, and she said, "No, that's it." So that was pleasant human to deal with. Thank you.
It's not a requirement, but a request. Would you be willing to share your name with us?
Yeah, Tara.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Anybody further for public comment?
By the way, Marcy Torres, but by the way, Megan Whitmire, as I will remind you, was the criminal defense attorney for Jerry Davis, who was sexually abusing children prior to taking the bench and becoming a commissioner. So I did speak to you about Bronson Brown, and you know, what I find interesting is that on my case, there was literally no evidence of anything, and he issued a protection order for my ex, knowing that a lot of the judges here in Franklin County had just sat through 5 years of appeals because he didn't want to pay me the wages he owed me. So immediately after the final mandate is issued, Norma Rodriguez turns around and files a protection order, doesn't disclose that there's a conflict of interest between her and Mason Pickett, who's my ex's attorney, and turns around and issues this protection order, making it seem like I'm just this terrible, terrible, and abusive mother. I had custody of my son for 15 years, prior to all these clowns taking the bench. I was granted full custody. He had 20% visitation with his dad. But as soon as you have people coming onto the bench who I'm sure they're getting some kind of kickback that we don't know about. Otherwise, why are they doing it? I also did a little bit of research on La Voz. La Voz newspaper seems to be the newspaper that these people are using to put out and to talk about the people that are talking about them. Did you know that Norma Rodriguez's husband, Mario Interiano, sits in the board of directors of this newspaper? So interestingly enough, I start speaking up about what's happening to many families in this community, including my own, and Norma Rodriguez reaches out to the owner of La Voz multiple times to ask, when are you gonna run the hit piece on Marcy? And when you go to the Facebook page of La Voz, it's all of their friends commenting on there, nobody else. I am so secure in the kind of person that I am and the kind of person people know that I am, that I'm not afraid. But I think it's funny that it is all their people, the people that are blindly believing everything these people say and do behind that bench, that are going out there to slander me. But one thing I know for certain, I didn't win that wage mandate with lies. I won it with the truth, and I've collected the full amount. And that is the same way I'm going to win this battle. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody further for public comment?
So last week, I could not be with you all because I took the initiatives over on the Pony Express, gathering them from Walla Walla, Franklin, and Benton, to get to Yakima to meet the courier, and a lot of these initiatives that we're using to fight unconstitutional actions. What I'm kind of discerning what they're talking about in this court thing is a due process issue. I'm not deeply involved. I've heard them, I've talked to them, I have a heart of compassion, but if judges are commanded by our state to not allow due practice, then that is something you can talk about in a steering committee. We have babies that are handed back to addicted parents who haven't proven any ability to take care of them and they're dead. That's murder. Of course, we're the first state to take taxpayer money and through an initiative process and use it to kill babies in the womb. Gentlemen, I did send you a proposal for a sanctuary county so that our Bill of Rights can never be removed again, calling for a resolution and ordinance. There are 2 counties in Florida that are doing this successfully, and we have a video talking about how the Supreme Court does make mistakes. That's why things were turned back to the states. Gentlemen, it is the people's right to redress grievances and call for repair and restore of the Constitution. And it does start with legislators on the county. We have processes. And I've been proposing this, and I'm only assuming, and I would love a private conversation, that you just can't stand me coming up here making public comment all the time. I would think you'd want 200 people doing this to support you, to dialogue with you. I love this county. I respect your office. Yes, I've had moments. We all have. But right now, Pierce County is trying to amend their home charter, another removal of the people from the process. Now, a council of people will decide who's going to be appointed and elected when the legislature is the only one that is enumerated to do that. And we're going to go through a crooked Supreme Court judges. Well, the Supreme Court says, especially in this state. We have to stand up. It is our duty and our responsibility. It's not just obeying the law, it's going against those who break it and say this is wrong. And I do want to make one correction from last week because I do want clean elections. And I looked into a little bit of the situation with Nikki Torres and all this. And it was stated that she left her daughter. Her daughter is 26 years old, has a child of her own. This was not, it seemed as though she left her daughter, a minor child, dependent on her. Nikki Torres does have property. It's not in the jurisdiction for which the office she's running for. My understanding is she has a partner, and she's trying to run for office. My suggestion is that people look at the index of her vote, the presidential elections, and who she's voted for, and look at what Gabe Galbraith did, because he put it to the Department of Education on girls in sports, and then other schools and districts supported that movement. So look at records.
Anybody further for public comment?
Hello, Commissioners. I'm Kat Espinda, two-tier takedown. We were court watching last Friday, and as I was sitting there in Judge Jennifer Johnson's room, I had 4 people in an hour approach me to ask who I was. 4. One was the prosecuting attorney. She saw us walk in, sat down in the very back right, and all of a sudden she got out of her seat and started asking every single person, who are you and where are you? What case are you here for? Who are you? And then she got to us. She didn't look at Aaron. She wanted to know who I was. And I said, oh, I don't answer questions. And she said, okay. And she went back. And then Jennifer Johnson on the next case, you could watch back on the FOIA or the cam from behind the bench, excuse me, but who are you and what is your name? And I said, oh, I don't answer questions. And she was looking down and she said, okay, well, just so you know, if you're here for a case and you're called and you don't know what case it is, you will be held in contempt of court. And she's looking down like this. Okay. Then after that, the security guard in the front came up to me and didn't look at him, looked at me and said, what is your name? And I said, I'm so sorry, I don't answer questions. And he said, well, are you here for a case? And I said, that's a question. I don't answer questions. So he went back, okay? Last security guard, he went out and he brought a brand new security guard in. There was a girl, a Hispanic girl, she was the last case, pro se, holding a beautiful baby girl. And they saved the best for last. I think Aaron and I saved a little baby girl from getting swiped out of this courtroom that day. They wanted us out of there with that 19-year-old Hispanic girl with a beautiful baby 1-year-old girl who was sitting in front of us, smiling, happy, healthy looking. I guess she wasn't allowed to go to A&E towing. They towed her car. They were going to take that child. My intuition is usually not wrong. And Andy Ravis said, if you watch this, you'll see that they just rip children out of people's arms. That girl was there alone. Aaron and I, we waited to the end. And you know what she did? She extended it for July. Well, I wrote down that date, we're going to be back. How dare these judges do what they're doing? We know what you're doing. We're not putting up with this. We're going to be back every week. This is unacceptable. Our children are being trafficked and stolen, and as Marcy mentioned earlier, we got people in the system that are hurting our children. It's disgusting. It can't continue. And people are waking up all over the country, and we're watching. Thank you.
Anybody further for public comment?
Andy Revis, Franklin County. Finish up before, and thank you, Council Briggs, for giving me the information. I've if there's a department that is habitually going over budget, I think I've heard some information that maybe there are departments that habitually go over budget. I've been around budgets in my business my whole business career, and I mean a budget only works if you keep to it. And then what happens? Where's that money coming from if you're habitually going over? That's why I thank you guys for trying to. And I heard Commissioner Baumann last week talking about the roads and the money that had been diverted that is not being diverted, and so I appreciate what you guys are doing with that. So now the family court thing. Last week, we're being effective. I was at a place of business out in the county last week, and one of his vendors started talking to me, and he said, "I've been watching you on the Franklin County YouTube." He said, "And I never thought about it until I heard you say that it is child trafficking." And, the definition of trafficking is you trade money for a product or a service. Sex trafficking, you're trading money for sex. Child trafficking, you're trading money for children. And this state is getting money from the federal government to take children. That's trafficking. And if we can get the word out there, and if like I said, there's people watching. And so that's why I keep coming back. And I said, I said in February of 2020, after my children were taken, I said, God forbid I never see my children again. I will not stop doing this because of the mothers that are by themselves in the court that have to deal with what I've dealt with. I don't want another person to deal with the hell that I've dealt with because I'm too chicken. And most of the time, that's what happens. People the system is designed to destroy you financially, emotionally, and physically until you have no fight left. And then they have your children. They traffic them through all these different programs. I was just looking up some information, and I came across some emails from March and April of 2020 where my attorney was reaching back out to me because the foster parent was having some severe issues with the children in their home. And I was like, yes, that's what we dealt with on a daily basis. And we were working with it. We were working through that. And she said, well, hopefully the Attorney General can see that you were working with these children and trying to help them. But guess what? No, they were, if they gave the children back to us, they wouldn't keep getting their money from the federal government. These are the things we're standing up here for. And I appreciate you guys paying attention and at least acting interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody further for public comment?
Good morning, Angie Manarola. You guys know I don't like being up here, and you can hear it in my voice. But I just wanted to say thank you for passing the resolution giving the funds to the therapeutic courts. I can attest personally that they are effective. They are a great tool for people suffering from mental health and SUD. And I don't want to speak for Comprehensive Healthcare, who's running the recovery center, but I feel confident that every person working over there would say that the therapeutic courts are an absolute important part of the wraparound services. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for the letters that you send in providing recommendation. It's very helpful. Thank you. Anybody further for public comment? With that, we'll close public comment. We do have need for executive session. So at this time, we will go into executive session under RCW 4230-110-1I for 15 minutes. We'll start executive session at 10:25 and come out at 10:40.
Mr. Chair, I believe that those present will be Council Lloyd, Council Briggs, County Administrator, the Chairman, Commissioner Didier, and Clerk of the Board, correct?
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay.
And Commissioner Mullen remote.
And, oh, yes, Commissioner Mullen, please take no offense to that.
You're out, Rocky.
I am. I guess I forgot to take you off mute.
Okay, we're coming back in right now. We are back from executive session with no decisions being made. Is there any more business for the good of this county?
Mr. Chairman, I've got 2 items I'd like to add to the agenda today. First, I move to add a settlement agreement with Cody Contrell onto the regular business.
I'll second that.
Need to vote.
Did you want to add them both?
Oh, I can add the other
2
one?
items
The
potentially.
other item, I move to add the request from the PA's office for the 2 positions to be filled.
So I'll second that as well. So there's been a motion to amend our agenda to add 2 potential action items to our agenda. Any further comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Mr. Chairman, I move to approve a settlement agreement with Cody Contrell in the amount of $300,000.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to sign a settlement agreement with Cody Quantrell. Any further comments? All in favor say aye.
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 And then, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 2 positions for the PA's office, a deputy prosecuting attorney position 1, grade 20, step 1, and a legal secretary 3 position, grade 13, step 1, to be filled that are within their budget.
Second.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to accept the request made by the prosecuting attorney's office to backfill 2 positions in their office. Any further comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Is there anything further for the good of this county? With that, this meeting is adjourned.